From homes perched on cliffs to houses seemingly hanging over waterfalls, today we're going to explore the world's most daring and riskiest architectural creations. Join me, we're going to count down the top 15 riskiest houses in the world. Starting with number 15, the Burgess Treehouse. The Burgess Treehouse was conceived and built by Minister Horace Burgess, who says he was praying in 1993 when God spoke to him and told him to begin work on a wooden home in the trees. The minister embarked upon a 14-year mission in Tennessee to make his design a reality, and despite its gigantic size, he amazingly only spent $12,000 on it, relying mainly on discarded materials and donations to put it all together. When it was finished, it was over 97 feet tall and had more than 80 rooms over 5 different stories. It had a church in there, a bell tower, even its own basketball court, all built around a still-living 80-foot white oak tree. He used more than 250,000 nails and a nail gun to hold it up, along with a reported 500 pounds of penny nails that were hammered in by hand. Now, unsurprisingly, it soon became a popular tourist attraction, and the minister even performed 23 weddings inside there. But the newfound fame of the place also drew the attention of safety officials. It was closed to the public in 2012 because it wasn't built to the expected building and fire safety codes, and for several years it was left abandoned, falling into a state of disrepair. True to the danger of this place, that finally became apparent in October of 2019. During a storm, the entire structure, including its support trees, caught on fire, and the raging inferno had burned it all to the ground within just 15 minutes. By the time the fire department had got there was nothing for them to save, and the minister's work had literally gone up in smoke. Quite how the fire started is still not known, but thankfully there hadn't been anyone inside at the time, because if there would have been, there'd virtually no way for them to escape. Number 14. Mount Merapi. Mount Merapi, often referred to as the Mountain of Fire, is one of Indonesia's most famous and active volcanoes. It's situated on the island of Java, reaching a height of 9,610 feet above sea level. That name, Merapi, which means Mountain of Fire in Javanese, is a fitting title for a volcano that's erupted regularly throughout history. It's actively shaped the landscape and produced fertile slopes around it, and it's these that attract people to live there. Despite being susceptible to deadly pyroclastic flows and lava avalanches during eruptions. In fact, thousands of people have homes on the slopes, with some villages at altitudes as high as 5,500 feet, fully well knowing how much risk this is. Smoke is often seen billowing from the volcano, and Mount Merapi's eruptions have been well documented, with notable events happening in 2010 and 2018, each of which caused extreme devastation and loss of life. These, though, are seen as relatively small eruptions because of the geological history of the mountain, and should a larger event take place, there will be very few places for nearby residents to seek refuge. Still, despite all these dangers, it is one of the best places for farmers to grow their crops, and the mountain's also revered in local Javanese culture, meaning there's no shortage of people who want to live on the slopes. Number 13. East Church Cliff House. Changing weather conditions or unexpected events can quickly turn a house that was originally built in a sensible place into one that's at risk of being destroyed. And if you ever find yourself in that situation, there's very little you can do apart from start making plans to move away. That's what residents in the English town of East Church had to do after a series of storms left them fearing for their lives. The town is on Sheppey Island in Kent, on the southeast coast of the country, and when Ed Kane moved there 17 years ago, his property was 82 feet away from the cliff edge. Several years of heavy rainfall and stormy seas, though, have caused the bedrock to be eroded at an unusually fast rate. So by 2021, his house was just 15 feet from the edge. The issues affected a 4-mile stretch of coastline on the island, where several landslides had sped up the process of erosion, and as many as 124 homes and 1,000 caravans were at risk of being destroyed. The local policy is that no intervention is made by the authorities to interfere with natural processes like these, and some of the owners were actually threatened with legal action to make them pay for the demolition of their homes. Alternatively, the cost of securing the cliff was estimated to be as much as $30 million, which the residents simply didn't have, so most of them have now been forced to cut their losses and move elsewhere. Number 12. LMP Mansion Missouri. The LMP Mansion, located in St. Louis, Missouri, has a storied history that's led to it gaining the reputation as being one of the most haunted places in the United States. Constructed in the 1860s by William J. Lemp, a German immigrant, the mansion was initially a symbol of the Lemp family's brewing success, with the Lemps being pioneers in the beer industry in the region and responsible for building the Western Brewery, which would later become the Lemp Brewery and known for producing the popular Falstaff beer. The mansion itself is a great example of Victorian architecture, with ornate detailing, intricate woodwork, and elegant interior decor, and it served as both a family home and place for entertaining guests. However, as the Lemp family's fortune declined, so did the mansion's splendor. Tragedy struck the Lemp family repeatedly, with several untimely deaths and strange events within the family, all of which led to rumors of a curse. The mansion's history of misfortune and death has contributed to its reputation as a haunted location in modern times, and those that are brave enough to visit often report paranormal encounters, including apparitions, unexplained sounds, and eerie phenomena. Today, the Lemp Mansion operates as a restaurant and an inn, and visitors can explore its historic rooms and learn about its fascinating past. It also hosts ghost tours and paranormal investigations for those seeking to experience the mansion's supernatural side. But be warned, if you choose to stay there, you do so at your own risk, as the current owners have no way of knowing how the specters that haunt the place will react to you. Number 11. Wogo Apartments, Amsterdam. The Wogo Apartments, located in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, are a strange example of modern architecture and design that may look fun at first, but you can't help but wonder just how safe some of them are. Designed by the renowned Dutch architect Rem Koolhaas and his firm OMA, the apartments were completed in 1997 and have since become an iconic landmark in the city. The complex was specifically designed to provide housing for the elderly, and it offers a dynamic solution to the challenges of aging in an urban environment. The most distinctive feature is, of course, its irregular and cascading terraces that seem to defy gravity. These terraces are adorned with gardens, creating a visually stunning green facade that integrates nature into the urban environment. The design provides residents with access to private outdoor spaces while also promoting a sense of community and interaction. Inside the apartments, the emphasis on natural light and open spaces enhances the quality of life for its residents. The complex includes 100 apartments of varying sizes, each designed with accessibility and convenience. Communal areas, social spaces, and medical facilities are strategically placed throughout the building to encourage social interaction and provide essential services. There's clearly a lot that's gone into the design, but would you really trust the integrity of those overhanging floors once they've aged? I wouldn't. Number 10. Takasugi, Japan. The amazing-looking Takasugi, which translates to mean the tea house built too high, is a traditional Japanese tea house in Chino, Japan, but one that's been suspended at the top of 2 chestnut trees. According to the man responsible for it, the structure got higher and higher as he thought about it for 2 years, and it took him a while to find the perfect spot. The trees were cut from a nearby forest and positioned deep in holes in the ground to provide the foundations, and the house was built piece by piece once they were in place. With a floor space of only around 65 square feet, there's barely enough room for a child to stand up in it, let alone an adult. But this place is designed to sit and relax. To enter it, you have to climb a precarious freestanding ladder, and there's room inside for 2, possibly 3 people. Beyond its location and the small size, the tea house treehouse is traditional in every other way. There's a hearth in the corner with a chimney above, and the roof is covered in hand-rolled copper sheets. The architect himself says that with room for just 4.5 tatami mats, this structure can, at times, feel more like a piece of clothing than a building. Number 9. Monte Christo Homestead, Australia. The ornate-looking Monte Christo homestead was built by pioneer Christopher Crawley in 1885 on a hill that overlooks the town of Junee in New South Wales, Australia. His family lived there for around 60 years, but after a number of deaths, both staff and relations, it's now known as the most haunted place in Australia. One of the most famous stories from Monte Christo revolves around a maid named Annie, who fell from a balcony to her death in mysterious circumstances. Her ghost is said to haunt the property, and her presence has been felt by many visitors. Numerous reports of paranormal encounters, strange noises, and ghostly apparitions have cemented Monte Cristo's reputation as a hotspot for supernatural activity. The property remained vacant for many years until it was purchased by Reg and Olive Ryan in the 1960s, who lovingly restored it. Today, the homestead is open to the public, offering guided tours that delve into its history. The mansion's eerie atmosphere, antique furnishings, and the story surrounding it create a spine-tingling experience for those who dare to explore its halls. Doing so, though, comes with risks because there have been reports of flickering lights despite there being no electricity, the constant sound of footsteps, ghostly apparitions, and murmured voices. And the people who currently own it are seriously considered demolishing it once and for all in order to escape the problems that they've inherited. Number 8. The Phoenix House, Hawaii. The Phoenix House, located on the stunning Big Island of Hawaii, was designed by the visionary architect Craig Steely, who's known for his innovative approach to blending modern design with the unique landscapes of Hawaii. Getting its name from its rebirth from the ashes of a previous structure that was destroyed by a lava flow in 2014, it's on a very risky site that's already experienced disaster. But rather than seeing this as a setback, Steely and his team embraced that challenge, designing a new home that's both resilient and ecologically responsible. The house sits on top of a lava field surrounded by rugged terrain and has some of the most incredible views of the Pacific Ocean and nearby Kilauea volcano. Its design is characterized by clean lines, minimalist aesthetics, and a focus on sustainability, and large glass panels blend the indoors and outdoors together, allowing residents to immerse themselves in the breathtaking beauty of Hawaii. The house also generates its own electricity through a photovoltaic system and captures rainwater for daily use, and passive cooling techniques such as natural ventilation and shading minimize the need for air conditioning in the tropical climate. The outdoor areas are equally impressive, featuring a lava rock swimming pool, a sunken lounge area, and expansive lanais that provide the perfect setting for taking in the breathtaking sunsets and starry Hawaiian nights. Still though, the ever-present risk of further volcanic activity means you can't help but wonder how long it'll remain in place before it has to be rebuilt again. Moving on to number 7, Lake Kivu, Rwanda, DRC. Lake Kivu, which is on the border between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, is one of the African Great Lakes, formed in the Albertine Rift, which is a void that's been created where two tectonic plates are slowly pulling apart. This is a volcanically active region that's surrounded by mountains and has extremely fertile soil. This, along with the fish and fresh water in the lake, means that a number of communities live around its shores, including in the city of Goma, which is one of the most important settlements in this part of Rwanda. Goma has, though, been subject to a number of dangers in the past few decades, either from the wars that took place during the 1990s and the activity of the Nyiragongo volcano, which lies just 11 miles to the north. Still, even with these, Goma is becoming known as a safe destination now, and is where the annual Amani Festival is held to celebrate and encourage peace throughout the country. There is, though, another ever-present danger to everyone who lives in this area, and this makes them by far some of the riskiest houses and places to be in the world. The lake, while normally being a geological structure that supports life, hides a dark secret beneath the surface of the water, and one that could strike at any moment. It's just one of 3 lakes in the world that are known to undergo what's known as a limnic eruption, which is where dissolved methane and carbon dioxide within the depths can suddenly be released. In total, it's believed there's as much as 16 cubic miles worth of methane in the bottom of the lake, and a further 61 cubic miles of carbon dioxide. Were this to be released, it would rise above the water and hover below the air because it's denser, and this would suffocate everyone and everything for miles around the lake. What it would take to trigger this is unknown, but what researchers have discovered is that localized extinction events have happened around the lake on average every 1,000 years since the last ice age, so there's no reason why it wouldn't happen again anytime soon. Number 6. The Leaning Tower of Santos, Brazil. Located about 50 miles from Sao Paulo in Brazil is the city of Santos, which is both on the coast of the mainland and on an island. First founded in 1546, it's a place that's played an important role in Brazilian history, and it's home to around 500,000 people. Today, it is a tourist hub and has, for example, the record for the longest beachfront garden in the world. There are plenty of stunning developments there that offer views out across the beaches and the water, but there are some buildings that look noticeably odd. The high-rise apartments along the waterfront appear to be tilting, and worryingly, this isn't an optical illusion but a very real and serious problem, and one that dates back more than half a century. During the 1950s and 60s, a huge amount of investment poured into the city to develop it, with the hope that it would become a financial and tourism center, something it has since largely achieved. The problem, though, is that there weren't any building regulations at the time, or at least ones that related specifically to Santos, so a series of mistakes were made. For these tall apartment blocks, the foundations were dug around 15 feet into the ground, which may well be safer somewhere further inland. The ground in Santos, though, is around 23 feet of compacted sand above 130 feet of slippery clay, a material that notoriously doesn't cope well under extreme weight. Instead of being 15 feet deep, the foundation should have been more than 10 times that to be structurally sound. But by the time this was realized, it was far too late. The building regulations were updated in the late 1960s, but those original ones are still there. As they're built so closely to each other, things are being made even worse, and the sinking of one is also impacting those next to it. Some have already tilted by as much as 6 feet, or almost 2 meters, and it's simply too expensive to fix them. Amazingly, some people still live in there, but this may not be for long, as it's been their suggestion for a number of years now that when one of them finally falls over, it'll trigger a domino effect that will ultimately knock down all of the leaning towers of Santos. Number 5. Villa de Vecchi, Italy. Villa de Vecchi, it's also known as Villa de Vecchi Botti, is a beautiful and mysteriously abandoned mansion that's located in the forests of northern Italy, near to the town of Cortanova, in the province of Lecco. This villa, with its stunning architecture and its eerie history, is known as being one of Italy's most haunted places, and attracts people from around the world who want to experience the mysterious happenings for themselves. Built in the 1850s by the Italian architect Alessandro Sidoli, Villa de Vecchi was originally intended as a summer residence for the de Vecchi family, a wealthy and influential clan in the region. The mansion's design is a mix of architectural styles, including Neo-Gothic and Neo-Renaissance, with intricate stonework and ornate details that create a striking structure. In 1862, though, the Countess of de Vecchi was murdered under mysterious circumstances, and her death remains unsolved to this day. The tragic event is said to be one of the sources of the villa's eerie reputation, with some believing that the Countess's spirit still lingers within the walls. The villa also has a darker history associated with occult practices and paranormal phenomena. It's rumored to have been used by a secret society known as the Sons of the Dragon in the late 19th century, with rumors including tales of bizarre rituals and dark ceremonies conducted within the mansion's chambers. Over the years, Villa de Vecchi fell into disrepair, and the mansion was abandoned in the early 20th century. And now, the once majestic structure now stands in ruins, surrounded by dense woods and shrouded in mystery. As a site for explorers, though, to travel and take photographs, it's certainly interesting. But whether you'd actually want to stay the night there and risk encountering the spirits or fall victim to the curse is another story. Number 4. Stealth House, England. In the UK, there's a popular competition that's run every few months in which a lucky winner will receive a new house, which is valued at several $1 million. Each of the properties is supposedly meticulously designed and acquired by the company and promises a level of luxury that usually only the wealthiest of people can afford, so you can imagine the excitement for those who ultimately win one. In the end, many of them end up selling these homes to get the cash value, and it's extremely expensive to maintain mansions like these. But one winner found himself in a much worse position. Glenn Elmy entered the competition in late 2021 and, to his surprise, won the Stealth House, which was advertised as being worth around $4 million, and it was a James Bond-styled mansion. Set within the Exmoor National Park and with 5 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, an infinity pool, and panoramic views out across the ocean, he and his family excitedly moved in as soon as they could, but were forced to leave after just 3 days. It turned out that the modern-designed home had been built very close to the edge of a cliff, in a place where coastal erosion is a serious problem, and the nearby beaches even have warning signs about falling rocks. Not only was it too dangerous for Elmy and his family to live there, but it was impossible to get insurance for the house because of the risk of collapse. So after leaving, it's been a subject of a legal battle for almost 4 years, and in that time it's remained empty. As he's unable to sell it to a new owner, he's gone back to the organizers of the competition to be given the cash equivalent, with the hope that he will eventually be able to move into a dream house that's not a risk of falling apart around him at any moment. Number 3. Aogashima. Aogashima is a remote volcanic island located in the Philippine Sea, approximately 222 miles to the south of Tokyo, Japan. It's often referred to as a hidden gem or a paradise on Earth. Aogashima is a stunning place that's truly a unique island to visit. At the center is its double caldera, formed by the collapse of two ancient volcanoes. The resulting topography is breathtaking, with high cliffs, lush green plateaus, and steep valleys that descend dramatically into the sea. The volcano, though, is still active, and while its last eruption happened in the 1780s, the island remains monitored for volcanic activity just in case it shows any signs of erupting again. The presence of hot springs and fumaroles, along with the occasional rumbling from the depths, serves as a reminder that this is always a possibility, which makes it all the more surprising that people not only choose to live there, but have their homes within the actual crater of the volcano itself. Now, this is nothing new, though, as records show that a community has been there for centuries, and during the last eruption, almost half of them lost their lives from the lava flows. Despite that remote location and limited accessibility, around 170 people now live on the island, mainly for its fertile land, the fishing in the surrounding water, and to welcome tourists. It is a back-to-basics way of living there, though, with very few of the modern conveniences that you'd expect elsewhere. But this also means that it's far easier for them to pack up and leave if there's ever the need to do so. Visitors are welcomed here, where they can stay in guest houses and campgrounds, some of which are also within the caldera of the volcano too, and allow guests to connect more intimately with the island's natural beauty. Requiring 2 boat trips to even get there, it is a fascinating place to explore, with lava tubes offering a unique setting to see the effects of a volcano, while at the same time reminding you of the ever-present danger that it poses. Number 2. Hanging Houses of Cuenca. The Hanging Houses of Cuenca, locally known as Casas Colgadas, is a frightening but incredible-looking series of structures that cling to the cliffs overlooking the Huecar Gorge in the historic city of Cuenca in Spain. These seemingly gravity-defying houses are an iconic symbol of the city, but their age and precarious position don't exactly make them the safest of places. Dating back to the 15th century, the Hanging Houses of Cuenca are a unique example of medieval architecture, combining elements of Gothic and Moorish styles. They're built mostly of wood and stone, and they jut out from the edges of the cliffs with their wooden balconies and bay windows overlooking the gorge, and they grant stunning views of Huecar River below. Originally, they were designed and built for a number of reasons. They were used as both residences and, when needed, as commercial spaces for merchants. And this meant that one small medieval village was often bypassed by marauders who often preferred to plunder easier and safer targets. Over the centuries, the hanging houses have undergone various renovations and adaptations to maintain their structural integrity, and today they house the Museum of Spanish Abstract Art, which showcases a large collection of 20th century Spanish abstract art. Unsurprisingly, thanks to what appears to be a dangerous design and their unusual appearance, the Hanging Houses of Cuenca have captured imaginations of countless artists, writers, and travelers, and this has led to them being declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site and becoming an integral part of Cuenca's cultural heritage. The city itself is a picturesque blend of medieval and Renaissance architecture, with narrow cobblestone streets and well-preserved historic buildings. Number 1. The Winchester Mystery House, California. The Winchester Mystery House, it's located in San Jose, California, is a sprawling mansion famous for being the most haunted home in the United States, and as a result, it's become a focal point for paranormal investigators and enthusiasts. With so many people convinced there are mysterious goings-on there, it is surely one of the riskiest places you could ever choose to stay. The story begins with Sarah Winchester, the widow of William Wirt Winchester, who was heir to the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. Following the death of her husband and infant daughter, Sarah inherited a vast fortune, which she believed was cursed by the spirits of those who were killed by Winchester rifles. Seeking a way to appease these souls, she consulted with mediums and psychics who convinced her that she must continuously build and expand her home to confuse these vengeful spirits, and always offer her a way to escape them if they decided to exact their revenge. Construction on the Winchester Mystery House began in 1886 and continued non-stop 24 hours a day for 38 years until Sarah Winchester's death in 1922. The result was a sprawling 7-story mansion with over 160 rooms, winding hallways that lead to dead ends, and staircases that go nowhere, and doors that open into walls. The architecture is a bizarre mix of styles, with elements of Victorian, Queen Anne, and Gothic revival, creating a truly unique structure. One of the most interesting elements in the house is the staircase to nowhere, which leads up several stories only to terminate at a ceiling, with no access to the floors above. It's believed that Sarah Winchester constructed these stairs to confuse the spirits, making it impossible for them to reach her as she walked above. The house also features trap doors, secret passages, and windows that open into other rooms. Some rooms were designed with exquisite details, while others were left unfinished or are oddly proportioned. The house is fitted with stained glass windows, intricate woodwork, and beautiful gardens that provide a stark contrast to the overall bewildering layout. At the time, there were many who believed Sarah Winchester's claims and stayed clear of this confusing structure, and it was reportedly difficult for her to find any workers willing to add the extra floors, rooms, or staircases that she requested. Footsteps, voices, and apparitions have been continuously reported over the years, and there are suggestions that some people have even gone into the house and become so lost within that they never found their way out again. Today, the Winchester Mystery House is open to the public, offering guided tours by experts who know their way around. Interestingly, though, it's unlikely that they even know the full extent of the maze of corridors that lie within, because part of the original plan to confuse the spirits meant that there are now no comprehensive blueprints of the full layout. It is quite possible that there are more rooms or even entire floors that are still undiscovered, and who knows what might be lying in wait if they're ever uncovered. Watch our binge-watching playlist if you'd like to watch all of our most popular top 15 videos. Thank you to our channel members.